Sketchcraft show. How you doing, everybody? It's Rob Duenas, graphic artist Esquire. And if you're joining in for the very first time, like numero unos times, not dos times, but numero unos times, you should know that typically we do this podcast in between all the other fucking art we're doing around here. And we talk about stuff like art and comics, but not games. It's another night. Tonight we're going to talk about art, comic related stuff. Joining me to do that and monitoring the chat boards would be Brandon Mega Potato James. Say hello.
Hey, I went first this time. All right.
All right. That's because you're monitoring the motherfucking chat room, right?
In your face, Ashley.
Speaking of which, hey Ashley, how you doing?
Good. And I'm over here just, messing with the volume. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Ashley was late, so she ended up lower in the ranking tonight. So
I did.
Negative 1 points for Gang Feather, House Gang Feather. So, Ashley, we got a lot of topics to talk tonight. Tonight is episode 50 of Sketchcraft Live. Wow, we're up 50 shows. If we were most studios, we'd probably be up to 100, but it's only so much shit we can talk about, really. It's better how I think about it. I want to quickly go over some Sketchcraft related updates. Brandon, that is not Kyle from now. That's Kyle from the other night. So, that's Ghost of Kyle. All right. So this week, I've been getting back into the rhythm. Rhythm is gonna get you. So I've been back into it. You can see around here things are working. I've been working on commissions. One thing I had to do was I've had this problem. When you go to Sketchcraft.com, I never had to do with Sketchcraft.com. I first had a .com site that I was building with Josh, if you remember Josh, the infamous Josh. And we ran that working okay for a while until Chinese bots took over. Just killed that WordPress site. So then I started having Sketchcraft.com just forward to the Facebook page, which worked, but then people are going, it takes me to Facebook. I hate Facebook. They won't even look, Ashley, at the art. They just go, fuck Facebook. So, I got... Hold on.
I mean, yes, go.
I'm just letting you know what was said. So, then I'm like, okay. So when I started the podcast back up, I started having Sketchcraft.com forward to the YouTube page, which confused people looking to find my art. They're like, I go there and I'm on YouTube and that's cool, but I'm looking for your art. I'm like, there's these little links, but they're kind of hard to see. So what I did was I retooled my Tumblr site. So if we go here to the Cintiq or desktop head, we can look here. This is the Tumblr site now, Sketchcraft.com. Look at that. Ooh, I got masking going on, port forwarding masking. And I got a nice clean little layout with all the links to the Twitters, the Facebooks, and look, they open up in a new window. So I'm gonna click on all of them right now because I got people telling me before my links don't work. So I'm proof here. Sketchcraft. We're gonna go right here and show you how all these
We'll prove you wrong, fans.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I do here. I just get into arguments. There's the Pinterest site. Here's my Instagram. I know there's a lot of promotion right now. Shameless promotion for Rob. This is the DeviantArt site. You can check me out there. This is links to what you're seeing now, the YouTube, which forwards to Sketchcraft Live, and that got a little feedback there. So SketchcraftLive.com is just where you go for the YouTube. And then now I also set up this week an ArtStation. Ashley, you know what ArtStation is?
Nope.
ArtStation is where those really highfalutin super artists hang out. And I figured, why not join them, right? So it's just another place to show off your art. It's pretty cool.
It's pretty.
Yeah, I know you like that. I actually drew that. So we come down here.
I'm saying the whole.
Right. So,
I mean,
but
it's
the site's,
oh, you know what I mean.
I know. So it's cool. What's cool about ArtStation, I kind of figured this out as I went along, is you create each piece rather than making it just an image. You can make it. You make it a project. So if I go to the Rick and Morty piece, which I just recently did this week, you can see all the steps. You can put all these other pictures in these project folders. So I made this so you could see all the difference. Look at oh, Gary and Jerry. And then we go down here and you see all the different little snaps that I take on the Instagrams, put them together, and you get the final Rick and Morty piece. So we're on ArtStation now, folks. Right? All over the place. So that's cool. You know, and I already got some likes and some views and stuff, so that's nifty. And then lastly, the links to the store, shopsketchcraft.com, which I don't have anything up in here now because this next week I got to get that set back up. Costs money to put things in the store, folks. But sketchcraft.com, right here, it's nice because it is Tumblr. Although I don't really use Tumblr, what is cool is that these things are linked, you know, and they get good rankings on Google and shit. And if you just scroll down, it's infinite scrolling, so you can just see pictures. I figure if you want to see an artist's work, you just want to see what they can do, right? So you just scroll down and you just see art, you know. It's not really organized, but who the fuck cares? So anyhow, that's one of the things I did this week. One of the motherfucking things this week. Ashley, how do you feel about making websites and shit? Sucks, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about like going to, you know, something like Squarespace and trying to figure it out like that kind of thing.
Well, for me, like, I wanted it so you had one, it needed to be customizable so it can keep my color scheme. I like my red, my black, my creams.
Yeah.
Two, I wanted it so, if we come right back here, I wanted it so, oh, no, Cintiq desktop. So if we come here, I just wanted the links right here. You could just, the links are, they're just icons. You know, that there's just images, so you can look at the images, and then there's icons to the other stuff I got going on. Super fucking simple, you know? Like, and there are Instagram links and shit they can do here, but really this is what was most important. So it's finding a theme, because Tumblr uses themes, that provided that, and then I broke the theme several hundred times. Like, what happened was I used masking, so it's this thing called masking, where when you go to sketchcraft.com, it says sketchcraft.com, not sketchcraft.tumblr.com, right?
So do you use Tumblr as your website
Right.
kind of thing? Like your hub?
Right.
Yeah,
right,
I'm thinking about doing that. I feel like maybe that would be better because I actually use...
Because see how you can just put all your images right here. You don't have to...
Yeah.
Look how easy that is, right?
Yeah, I probably will start doing that because the one I have, I want to change it, you know, and it's kind of a pain.
And look, if
like
they get rid of Tumblr, I can find something else that does that, but I don't think it's going away. So, so that's what I did.
It looks so simple. I like it. So.
It looks simple, folks.
It's clean and crisp. I like how
that's the best way to go. Simplicity.
The problem I ran into was when you would click on some of the links, like the link to the YouTube, because the site was using masking. That link would try to open up the YouTube site within the masking in the HTML, however that works out, folks. I'm not a genius, and it wouldn't load anything. So I had to go into the HTML fucking shit and actually add in bracket, target, bracket, block, this fucking little script to each little link so it would open it up in a new window. And then that kept it from breaking. So that was tedious. But aside from that, it was all, you know. And getting the ArtStation set up, which has been on my list of things to do. So that's what I did there. Plus, obviously, we commissions and developing game cave. So now the big thing this week, folks, is to get PowerPrints going all the way through consistently until I'm done. So tomorrow I will start work on Final Fantasy VII. Brandon, that means you get flats to do every week from now till maybe March. Like every week, Brandon.
Can't wait.
Flats.
Christmas comes early.
Brandon, you have any thoughts about representation on the web? Or website?
Yeah, I do a horrible job of representing myself. But working with you, it's getting better. I like all the stuff you got set up. It's cool. It's things I haven't heard of, like the ArtStation. I like how clean and crisp it looks and quote unquote simple. There's not a lot of, I hate when there's a lot of shit on like DeviantArt. I hate how much stuff is around the borders, everything going on, but I like that ArtStation. It's pretty straightforward, just thumbnails. So moving forward, as I build more of my art up, I'll definitely follow your formula, which you will make me. So But that's how that's gonna go.
Because what will happen is you'll want help with your crazy fucking thing, and I'm not going to want to help you with that, so I'll make you
Right.
clean it up. So McLaren's in the chat room and Gemu's in the chat room. Hello. All right, Ashley,
Hello. Yes.
I've talked enough. Why don't you pick a topic? Let's talk about some stuff.
Okay, so let's go with. Okay, how do you respond when people ask you if they can color your line work? So let me set up a little scenario. I post, lines for a commission I'm doing, and someone contacts me on Twitter. They're like, "Hey, I like that. Mind if can I color the lines? It could, if you could send me your best photo, that'd be great." And I'm like, I don't respond because my thinking is, well, why should I do that for free? Because it took me time. Do you know what I'm saying? So how do you respond to that? Do you say basically, yeah, it's $10, or do you just kind of ignore it?
Nah, I usually send them a copy of the line arts. Like 150 DPI. If they really want a 300 DPI.
Well, here's
they
the
can
thing:
have
is
one of those.
I wasn't. These were pencils anyway, so it's kind
I
of
don't
like.
care. If people want to color something,
Yeah.
I let them color it.
Okay.
What I would say is this: is those people tend to come back and buy something a year from now.
Yeah.
So, I personally don't care. Like every year, I get students who go, I'm in a class. We have a project. We have to vector something. I like to vectorize your watercolor sauces, and I'm always like, sure. And please send me a copy of that because I'd love to see how you do that.
See, and I'm scared. I'm scared because I'm like, I don't even know if I would want to see
So
it.
what if it looks horrible? Well, so what if Ashley? What if it's not what you would do? It's fans. You think anytime, how many people, okay, Todd McFarlane made a character called Spawn. How much Spawn fan art is out there that isn't something you would draw?
Obviously. I mean, I get, and I know it's probably, it the best way to take it is that's great because it's like a compliment,
For me, I get people all the time that want to color my gritty pencils, right? And the gritty pencils are like when I try to do that McFarlane kind of Stephen Platt thing where it's all textury, right? And I still haven't fully worked out a way to do that because the McFarlane stuff is inked. So like they used cut and grads over that, and when it's inked, it makes a lot of sense because the colors are super clean and simple, and there's all the blacks are solid or not solid, right? There's no like half toning. But these are usually pencils, which means they have halftones and semi-transparency, semi-transparent texturing. And I've never, short of them being digitally painted, like some of the way they kind of paint the battle chasers, or the
you can always like threshold. And
and you lose a lot of it. You lose a lot of it.
I know, but
so,
it's like I guess that feels like the way that you wouldn't be like get it all muddy and
Well, what I'm trying to say though is like that's usually what they want to color, and I give them it because I want to see if someone can figure something out I haven't yet. Like maybe they'll figure it out, and I'll be like, that's amazing. I have a handle on it now. Like I kind of know between what I did with the God of War and the Guyver piece this past year. Like I have a way around it, but for the most part, my advice on those is just don't color them. But I'm still waiting to see someone out there totally fucking kick ass. Brendan, do you understand what I'm talking about? Like when fans color, like I don't think you've gotten that request yet. Have you? Have you had anyone?
I had someone actually want to do that. That Raphael that you helped me on with, where it's the big bar for Raphael. I had someone wanted to tattoo that, so they asked me for the line art, but no one yet has asked me to color my art, which I wouldn't have a problem with it because it's not my colors, it's their colors. As long as they just say lines by Lead Heavy.
Yeah, I guess like credit is my biggest thing.
That's what I would say. Just give me credit. Just give me credit.
Yeah.
Here you go. Have fun. Appreciate the support.
Okay. And I wanted to bring this up because I didn't want to be a jerk about it. I didn't want to get a big head and be like, nah, I wanted to ask you and bring it up for other people,
Yeah, you don't have to monetize directly. Like there's different ways to monetize things, right? As an artist, look, we need to eat. One of the ways you can do it is say, hey, you want something? Give me money, I give you something. Other ways you can do it is say, here, you know what I mean? Totally hook people up with something that then they're going to go do something with. link back to you so that other people can see
Yeah.
what you actually did, right? And then 2, sort of develop a friendship, right? Like a friendly rapport with those people. Rapport, that's not a word.
Yeah.
Repertoire, I don't know. Rapport, there you go. With that person. And then eventually they'll probably come back and get like a commission sometime, or they'll buy prints from you
Yeah.
at some point, So you're sort of, it's like, in that case, it's more like you're gardening, right? Like you're planting little money seeds out there, right? Like you're just
Yeah.
burying little money seeds, and then eventually they'll come back. So, and if you really just don't feel comfortable, like say you look at the person's gallery and they got nothing but naked chicks in there, and you're against that, and you just feel like they're just going to make nude versions of your art, you just
Like
don't
or
reply.
hentai.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't reply. That's always my advice. If you don't want to do something, don't reply. The worst thing you could do
Yeah.
is tell them no. Like, well,
Yeah.
no, I don't do that because no, 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 no. And then, that's never going to go well.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Just
okay.
take it as a compliment.
Yeah,
It's,
I do. I think it's just like my first, like, I kind of have like, I think by nature I'm kind of like a guarded person. So like when people do that, I'm like, "Bleh." Like, I always think nefarious, and I'm like, okay, no, calm down.
You're going to have to
It's like
come
when
out of your
someone
art
knocks on-
cave.
It's like when
Ashley.
someone knocks on the door, I'm not like, oh, who is it? I'm like, who is it?
Like Smeagol.
Like,
you're gonna get the creepers, and you're gonna get the weirdos, and you're gonna get fans that don't know how to interact with people, and
And sometimes they join the
fans,
podcast, right, Brandon?
right? You know it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, asshole. You're gonna get great fans who really appreciate your art, and they want to take it, and they want to be a part of what you're doing. But there will be, some oddballs, and there will be some crazy fans. But a lot of times, people just don't know how to interact with people, and it just comes off a little weird. They don't know how to talk to you. So,
yeah.
just kind of, if you ever get a message or you get something, just wait on it. Rob always tells me to wait. Give it a night on everything. If I'm going to send him some art, give it a night. So same with
Yeah.
emails. If you read some, just give it a night or give it a couple hours or walk away from it and then reread it. Maybe you're in a different mood or whatever. Or look at what they already posted. Like Rob said, if they're posting like some weird fetish shit, then which me and Rob have had. Mermaid guys out there.
I got a follower this week that was a hentai artist, and I looked at some of their stuff.
Yeah. Each his own. I mean, I'm not into any of that
Yeah, me
stuff.
too. I don't care. I'm like, cool, you rock it. Because, like,
Yeah.
I draw some pretty racy stuff, too, but not that racy.
Right. But yeah, so I mean, it's just all about in their community interacting with people and just feeling people out. You never know. Look at, like Rob said in an asshole-ish way, I was a big fan of his shit. I liked his stuff. Probably 50% of the art of my apartment is his. You can't. He's like the Walmart of artists. You can get some good stuff at really cheap prices. It's great. But eventually, I think one day this will lead to a friendship. I don't know. Maybe in like 10 years, I might be friends with Rob. But right now, I'm on the podcast for now.
That's good. Sorry.
I like that when I said Rob's the Walmart of artists, I waited for his reaction because we're on delay. It's nice. Ashley, talk. Rob's going to keep quiet. He's going to let me keep rambling.
Okay, well, shall we?
No, we're going to move right on. All right, so hey, Brandon, since you're talkative tonight, let's talk about some other stuff.
All right. I got a question just to follow up of our last one about Deadpool. So, the director's out.
Why don't you
Miller's
preface our last one? What on Deadpool?
Okay, on our last podcast, we talked about TJ. No, not TJ. Is it
Tim Miller.
Is his first name Tim Miller?
T.J.
Sorry.
Miller. No,
No.
that's an actor.
Yeah, that's it. Tim Miller, the director,
Tim Miller.
and fought with Ryan Reynolds or whatever the details are, and left the movie Deadpool, the director. So, but the writer is staying on. So my question is, with the same writer and the same screenplay people, can they make the second movie just as good no matter who the director is? Or do you think a bad director or so-so director could come in and ruin a script that's really good?
Well,
Like how much does a script carry a movie compared to direction?
in movies, scripts don't mean jack shit. First off, Deadpool has two writers. They're the guys who wrote Zombieland.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember their names, but I know they're a duo. So the real trick with movies, as far as I can tell, having worked with directors and hung out, it really seems to be like who the producer is, and then what level of involvement a producer has on a film. Sometimes producers see a film. Producers are the one who pick up projects. They get like an IP, or they get an idea, or they get a script. They pick it up. They're reading stuff. Then, or even like a script mint, and then they develop those things. They'll bring on other writers. They'll find a director who can fulfill that vision, and then it's a matter of like whether they have a heavy hand in that. Case in point, like a Jerry Bruckheimer, perhaps you've heard. Like Jerry Bruckheimer is the kind of guy that's a producer who, every time you see a Bruckheimer film, you know what you're getting into. Joel Silver sort of is another sort of influential producer. I would say a producer that sort of steps back from that might be is it Annapurna? Yeah, like super. She's like a wealthy chick who she's cool. She picks up projects and lets them go make stuff. So like they produce Sausage Party. She didn't have a hand. She's not looking at dailies and fucking helping to manipulate that. She's like piecing them together and letting the artist and the director go do their thing. The director first, and then so forth. So the pecking order really is the producer. This is why producers go up there to accept best film, by the way. You ever wondered that? When a film wins best film at the Oscars, why is it producer? Why is John Landau accepting best film for Jim Cameron when Jim Cameron should, because the director will go up there and accept best director, right? Best film goes to the producer because that's the one who sort of generally puts the project together. In the case of like Marvel films, you could sort of say that's like Kevin Feige, really. Anyhow, this is basic producers, not executive producer and a bunch of weird fucking titles I hand out to everybody. You go, Stan Lee, fucking head. No. Anyhow, on this, the producer for Deadpool is Ryan Reynolds, and he has obviously a very influential, he cares about Deadpool. Obviously, he definitely has seniority over Tim Miller, right? So I think at this point, it's a matter of finding a director who shares the same vision as Ryan Reynolds and the directors. I mean, Ryan Reynolds foot the bill for the writers to come back and be there on set during he paid for that because the studio refused to pay. Excuse me. The studio refused to pay for that, so he paid out of his own cash to have them on board. And while they were filming, so they could write stuff and do extra things and keep them involved. So I think in this instance, specifically to Deadpool, having the writers back is important because they're writing the words that make the world sing, right? And then, Ryan Reynolds obviously very important because he's the producer and the star. Yeah. But you do need a director, and I've said this since the beginning, who's going to bring something else to the table, not just a comedy director. Like we were having this discussion about who should direct Deadpool 2, and everyone, the consensus is people keep going, you need a comedy director. You need a comedy director like Edgar Wright, or some people were saying like someone who knows violence like Tarantino, but he writes a lot of comedy. I think you need someone that understands clear. I personally think you need a director who understands clear and concise action and coverage, and is not going to get in the way of the presentation of the film. Does that make sense? If you got Roberto Rodriguez, right? Am I right? Yeah. You're getting a dude who's going to be all over that film. That's all you're going to see. You're not going to get a chance to see, and the action's not going to be clear. It's going to be a lot of slow motion in the camera, like John Woo, the one of the things I really appreciate about Deadpool was that when he was fighting, you knew where all the people were. Good coverage, right? Unlike say the Michael Bay films where shit's just fucking blowing up and just cameras going everywhere. We don't know what's going on. Like you knew where everyone was. There was a lot of real creative ways. Like if you need to kill 5 people with 3 bullets because we don't have much money, he killed 5 of them in a row, right? And he's like looking through them too, right? So like Ryan Reynolds, that's a lot of back and forth. You need people who are going to be different things. So for myself, I was like, hey, I think the John Wick dudes, because if you guys have seen John Wick, if you can get through the premise of the film, it's a movie that knows how to set up a world with very minimal dialogue, which is smart because that means you show the world versus just keep telling everyone about it, right? Like in movies, you like to show things versus telling things. It's different than a book. Case in point, in Star Wars, the original Star Wars movies, you just showed Hoth. You He didn't have to someone explain to you the whole fucking planet and all the fucking details and all the bullshit no one's going to care about. Whereas you get to the prequels and it's like they got to explain to you how the fucking Force works right down to the mitochondria, which I don't care about. You know, and every time you get on a planet, you're like, they have this ecosystem and they do trade and they do this, and you're like, no one fucking cares, man. Just show me the world. So, I think that Deadpool's going to be talking so much. The writers are going to be writing a lot of cool shit. That to me, like the best pick would be the John Wick people, and I think it looks like it might actually happen. So, like I said, Edgar Wright is a wonderful director. Edgar Wright for Deadpool, you're not going to get whatever they wrote. The writers are writing. You're gonna get some of what Ryan Reynolds does, but you're gonna see Edgar Wright all over the place. You know what I mean? You're not gonna see Deadpool. You're gonna see Edgar Wright presenting Deadpool, and that's a very different scenario. Does that make any sense, Brandon?
Yep.
A lot of people think that that's a complaint. You know, it's a legitimate complaint to be made about the Superman v Batman or Man of Steel or the Justice League, that you can see Zack Snyder as a director too much. You know, like, and that's debatable.
They have a distinct thing about all their movies, and you see it. So once you see, you can put on a lot of directors' movies and just see a scene, and you're like, I know who this director is, without having known who the actual director is. You know,
right, and I think that's fine. That's fine to an extent. You can do that if that's what you're going to do. Then each film, like the Mission Impossible movies, are all completely different because they each have a different director, and each director has their own style. You know, the first one was Brian De Palma, the second one was John Woo, the third one was J.J. Abrams, and then now the fourth and fifth one were Chris McQuarrie, and I guess the sixth one. So that's starting to become. Oh, the fourth one was Brad Bird, and then the fifth one was Chris McQuarrie. And now it looks like the sixth one. So. But they all sort of have their own different thing. And Chris McQuarrie is a guy who has range. So the new Mission Impossible may not be anything like the old one, the previous one. If that's what they're going to do with Deadpool, great. But I don't think that's what people want. Or Ryan Reynolds. Like, he wants to maintain that tone and then further that universe out. You know? Does that make sense? So, but writers don't have anything to do. Once they buy the script and they're shooting, writers get dick squat. And if you want to know what that's like, you should follow Max Landis' Twitter. Because out of all the people in Hollywood,
he is on Twitter all day,
and he's super, like, maybe even to his own detriment, super honest about shit. You know, like, not career damaging honest, but pretty.
But
yeah,
he probably ruffles some feathers, but he's funny.
Yeah, I enjoy his Twitter tremendously. I appreciate his honesty. I might not always agree with half his fucking films or his opinions, but that's a guy who's writing in Hollywood, and he's 100% honest. He's like, man, dude, in TV, the writers are fucking gods. In movies, you know. So,
just an update on the chat. McLaren says hi, and Jimu said, it's cool about Ashley's thing. It's cool to see what they do with your creations. I agree with Ashley. It's weird if you don't expect it. And Josh White says, John Wick is dope. Gung Fu, fuck the world.
That's Brandon. So, all right, Ashley. Anything else? What else? You got another topic here?
Yeah. I don't know if you've talked about this before, but why is the community on YouTube just in general more negative than the other social media like Twitter and Instagram? I'm not saying Twitter's not negative either, but I just feel like YouTube, for some reason, it's where everyone comes to go to the bathroom. Basically.
Well, we don't have any of those people here, so.
Well, but you. But
I have no one. But I have no. No, you're saying I don't really have any followers, so.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't know. Like I just feel like if someone's gonna say something negative, that it comes there first.
I don't know about that. I mean that.
I don't know.
You got. I mean, you obviously don't hang out on Reddit or 4chan or NeoGAF.
Well, that's
forums,
true. And maybe
Twitter is just a nightmare.
Maybe the question should be rephrased: what is, or is every one of them kind of equal?
Look, I'm old enough to say I can go back a ways on the internet, and things in AOL chat rooms in the early '90s were for the most part fairly positive. Until like the mass, there was like this I started on Prodigy and then worked my way to AOL, and then I got into when Google arrived in 1995. You could actually search things before we had web crawler. It's fucking horrible. there was a site called Ain't It Cool News, right? Maybe you've heard of it. And they were the kind of the first site to break this like comic book, geek culture news scoops, like rumors and spoilers. Like it's kind of started there at Ain't It Cool. Ain't It Cool had this thing called the talkbacks. The talkbacks are just comments where you would leave a comment. And that's when I realized people are real assholes. So much to the point that the end to Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back is basically Kevin responding to the talkbacks from Ain't It Cool News.
Oh, that's what that was.
That's actually based on the talkbacks. Yeah.
Okay.
So it just depends on, one, the atmosphere that permeates, a certain site, and two, what that site's willing to do to moderate it, and on the, if they even can. And three, whether you ever even care to read comments. Like for me, I don't read comments. Like I get comments here. For the most part, they're positive, and then every now and then I get someone who's really trying to convince me to use another piece of software or something. And then I get the ones who are like, fuck you, Batman v Superman's going to be great, because I talked about it like 3 days before it came out. Like I had the nerve to give it a 3 out of 5. How fucking dare I,
I remember that.
Right, and that was this motherfucker, just some fuck you can't be great and then only get a 3. I'm like, well, parts of it can be great, and it absolutely can. So, so I would say, if anything on the internet's stressing you out, you gotta like remove it from your daily dose. Like not the whole site, just don't look at comments. Like I had a hard time when I started working at Play, especially GameFan. Like when Play rolled into GameFan, the guy who owned it was Dave. His name is Dave Halverson. Dave Halverson, the internet hates Dave. Internet hates Dave. But the internet also loves Dave. It's like Schrodinger's cat. It's the same. It hates Dave and loves Dave. And because Play folded and a lot of people lost their subscriptions, they were very mad about that, And so anything Dave did was met with complete fuck those people, and then I got thrown into that bus. I was like, you see previously, employed people going, that fucking graphic designer sucks. He's fucking, like, oh, fucking people I thought were my own friends are like, fuck this guy. Like, literally, fuck you, Rob. And so I was like, Dave, how do you deal with this? Because I didn't think, look, I grew up with people being mean to me, and I could handle that to a large extent, like in person. On the internet, it's like, because it's like this thing, you can get sucked into it, right? Like, oh my God, I'm going to read it. And he was like, I just don't look at it. And so I think, I told him, I said, that makes sense to an extent, Dave, because they might have a point. So you have to figure out what your threshold is. And if you feel like it's consuming your psyche, you got to let it go. Case in point, this past week, some people on Twitter were fucking sending horrendous pictures and comments and stuff to a writer at Marvel. Female writer, coincidentally. And so she was like, I'm quitting Twitter. I don't know why people announce they got to quit social media. I would just delete. I'm out. Like, I don't understand it. But
it's one more thing for people to be like, oh, so you're quitting.
Right. And I think Brian Michael Bendis jumped on there and was like, hey, all you got to do is just mute people. And then they were like, you're condoning it. You got to stand up to it. I'm like, can you stand up to a faceless void? It's kind of like that faceless void of hate reminds me of like every time they put a cloud in a superhero movie, and we're all like, fuck, they're fighting another cloud. Because how do you fight a fucking cloud? Like it's like you just superhero just punching at a cloud. I can't, like I don't.
You have to, yeah.
You know what you got to do? You got to be like, I'm not watching that movie anymore. I refuse to spend money on movies where villains are evil clouds. Like,
you just have to get a really big vacuum. I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
The same thing. Actually, when you started going to cons, and you'll go to a few, like I know you went when you go as yourself, like artist Ashley West, right? We seen you on the internet, Ashley West. I seen on the internet, Ashley West. You're gonna get some people who are like, I hate that all your chicks look the same, or some shit like that, Right. And you just gotta be like, that's amazing, like Brandon, you see me at cons, like I rage here, but at a con, I think I've handled it fairly well, right? Like, give your 2 cents.
No, you kind of like someone will go, hey man, your chicks all look the same. Be like, oh yeah, that's my style. You know, when you see so much of my art together, maybe it starts to blend, but you know, just my style and the way I draw them. You know, that's pretty much
Yeah.
how you handle it. You just, oh yeah, I guess some of those can look a lot alike, but not on purpose. It's just I guess when you put all the art together, you know, it's tend to look like it is my art style, and then you
It's
just
not
that's
exactly
it.
what I do, but you know, I always default to like drawing. If they really get annoying, I just start drawing. You know, always have a commission ready.
Well,
Well, yeah, and then I have
I
to,
mean,
and then I have to talk.
I mean, I have something to add to that, but I don't want to say it on here, so I'm not going to.
That's probably a
But
different conversation.
yeah, but anyway, but what I usually do is, you know, if someone says something that's like kind of negative, and I get angry, my chest tightens up, and I, you know, get
It's like
but
when my
I kind
grandfather watched Fox News or something. You know,
of
you know.
but I mean, that's truly what happens. My chest tightens up and I get angry, and then I'm just like, okay, well, you know, I'm just gonna do it more. You know, what you don't like, basically. I just kind of fuel it. You
See,
know,
Twitter,
so
the Twitter thing is weird for me because unlike YouTube or Facebook or anywhere else, like they've actually used Twitter, governments use Twitter as a way to manipulate things in terms of like if you remember the Arab Spring, that was that thing that erupted a few years ago in Egypt that they took down their government and they were using Twitter to sort of coordinate everybody. So anytime
Yeah.
I see some really weird political thing, even if it's comic book stuff, like we don't like the way people are fucking drawing comics, you know, like artists need to stop pinup dudes. White people can't draw black people. Weird shit like that.
I
I'm
know
like,
that
I
one.
wonder what think tank is participating in this because Twitter has been used to manipulate, and I'm very, you know, I served in the military. I had a military family. I grew up during the Cold War. Um, Propaganda. I remember when I had classmates in the second grade that escaped East Germany, right? Like climbed the wall and escaped Europe from communism, which is a weird thought now, you know. And they would tell me about
Right.
propaganda, and you couldn't even get to the Soviet Union at that point. That was a Soviet motherfucker. Go see Spies Like Us. Like you're like fucking Russia, you know. So like when I see or I feel like I'm being propagandized or whatever that word is, like when I feel like when something's trying to manipulate how I think, I just
Mhm.
turn it off. I'm willing to engage in weird conversations and listen to things so long as I know it's up front. But when I see like Twitter to me is almost like a weird, I have to think like there must be some weird there has to be some smart think tank thing out there that's just, and not just one, like probably the Chinese, the Americans, the Germans, everyone sort of manipulate. YouTube comments are just because fuck your video. But the cool part about YouTube is you can turn all your comments off. Yeah, you don't have to have comments on there. So
On
like,
what, YouTube?
yeah, so like if right now, let's say everyone every day was like saying really nasty,
Yeah.
sexually charged stuff about Brandon, and I got tired of reading that because it disgusts me, right? Like, I don't even think Brandon's wife wants to think about Brandon. That's how I feel about it. So, like,
Thanks. Thanks.
you're welcome.
You're sleeping
So,
on the
hey,
floor.
you know, at Walmart we don't fucking care, right? So about our employees, right? So,
All right, I deserved it.
right. So in that case, I could just disable all comments and not have to have any. You know, I mean, that's what PewDiePie did, right? Like he just disabled all the comments, and you know, doesn't seem to be hurting anything. So I just, you know, South Park this season's doing a really good job dealing with this topic. By the way, if you haven't watched South Park, you're not watching the current season. You should go watch that. You want to see how Matt and Trey deal with internet trolls? Go to Denmark. That's what I would say to that. All right, I want to move on. Brandon, what time are we at here? We're at the 39. Pick another topic.
Okay. Also, just real quick from the chat room, Crusher says negativity exists all over the internet. Where there is a place of positive, there will always be negative.
Very
Yeah,
Jedi-like.
it's true.
And let's see. Let's go to a topic. Let's go with the Flash director quits for the Flash movie.
Well, we got
the
two
DC.
DC topics I want to talk about real quick before we wrap this up. We'll talk about some actual comic booky stuff. So, and then I'll let Ashley wrap up with her current updates. I didn't see you had updates. Ashley, put your updates up at the top. From now
Okay.
on, when you do the
Well, it
notes.
was my last thought.
I just want to give you the chance to show that at the front of the show when I do updates. So we'll
Yeah,
put,
because I was thinking when you were doing yours, like, should I?
that
I
would be
don't
the
wanna
time to do it. So no
I get
stress.
scared.
No stress. So two things happened in the world of DC movies today, right? Or this week. One, the director for the Flash film left due to creative differences. This is the third director. I think it was sort of implied originally that Chris Lord and Phil Miller, I can't remember. The two guys from Lego movies were initially going to write and direct Flash. They're definitely going to write it and maybe direct it. They left that, and now they're doing Han Solo. This other guy stepped in who never directed shit before. He was going to direct the Flash movie, which I was laughing because I was like, that's never going to happen. And it didn't happen. He left. And then they got the director of this movie called Dope. Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking awesome.
I've seen some of it. I want to finish it, but yeah. It was cool.
So, and then it looked like it's going to be a go. Like, he's like a good fit for sort of, fun, coming of age, quippy banner, the kind of tone that Flash has. And now he left. So,
It makes you wonder what's making all these directors leave. Yeah. Producers, the script. I mean,
I think they had to go start shooting the film in the next 6 months in order to meet the release date. In this event, I recommend you call the one director that can get you a win no matter how late in the game he shows up, and that's Joe Johnston. Joe Johnston's the last film that I remember him directing was Captain America, the first one. He directed The Rocketeer. He directed Jurassic Park 3. Came in at the last second, saved the production. You could say you didn't like the movie, but that movie got done because he went in. I still enjoyed it.
I don't like it.
He saved Wolfman. Wolfman was actually being filmed. The director walked off on set, never came back. And Joe Johnston came in and helped him get that done. So Joe Johnston's a guy who understands genre. If you've seen The Rocketeer, this guy, the tone in Captain America, the tone in Rocketeer, I say you bring that to The Flash. Joe Johnston created Boba Fett. He used to be an effects artist, an illustrator at Industrial Light and Magic. He worked on The Empire Strikes Back and Indiana Jones. You got to bring that guy into The Flash now, because he's the only one I can think of who can meet the fucking deadline and still produce we want a fun Flash movie. I don't think we want, the fucking Flash. I don't think the fucking Flash. Right? And then the sequel could be the motherfucking Flash, and we get Sam Jackson in there. So, any thoughts on this? You two? Anyone?
I'll go first. I think the Flash definitely needs someone who understands more. I don't know if Joe Johnston's the guy, but just fun, newer, hipper world. Because the Flash in this looks like he's just fresh out of college, younger. He's got his little cave with all his laptops and shit, and his little man cave, wherever that is. I don't know what the deal is with it, but I definitely think you need someone who can make him, I guess they're going with like a quirkier, nerdy, loner kind of Flash. So you need a director who's maybe done something like that where it has, a standalone hero, I guess.
Joe Johnston. I just remember directed a movie called October Sky. October Sky was about these kids. True story is a book. I think it was called Wonder Boys in the book originally. I read it. The Rocket Boys is what it was called. I read it when I was in the Army. And that was about kids, true story, who actually ended up they built rockets in the 50s in a coal mining town and then eventually worked on putting a man on the moon. So he's got to be the most underrated director in Hollywood. So I know you don't get it, Brandon, but I don't care about your opinion. So,
all right, what about that British film where the kids attack the block, right?
Yeah.
Could you see somebody like that kind of director?
Not without them writing the script, because they were involved in the script, right? That's
okay. But that's what I mean
when I
say
that Nick Frost, right? Nick Frost, Edgar Wright. So you just want Edgar Wright. Look, if Edgar Wright was saying he was going to come in and direct The Flash, I get it. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm saying when the Attack the Block guys, they got.
But they don't know how to work in a studio system. Do you understand what I'm saying? And Joe Johnston.
So you need someone who will play ball.
They just had an independent director, and he left. Right, due to creative differences. Something tells me it's a studio director relationship isn't. You know what I mean? Like, you got to find someone who can fulfill the vision. The studio has a vision. Maybe Jeff Johns has a vision for this character that also has to kind of meet up and be consistent. So that's what we're talking about, And who can produce a fun, good film and still do that without being a studio hack? How many people are out there? So either they got to look to TV, to do that, or, you got to find someone who's available. And the only person I could think of is Joe Johnston. I don't think he's doing anything right now, so sad to say.
Let's let him out.
Or you get the TV people. you know, which is what Marvel started to do. You know, that's how the Russo brothers show up. That's how fucking got so many now, right? Like, it's all the Marvel shit. He even got the guy that directed Dark World was TV guy from Game of Thrones. And initially, the director for Wonder Woman was gonna be Michelle McLaren, she came from Breaking Bad. She's a fantastic director. I think she directed some Game of Thrones episodes too. Look, if they got her, I think she's developing a new series with Vince Gilligan, so that's not going to happen. But, you know, get Drew Goddard, right? What's he fucking up to? What's Drew Goddard up to? You know, he's not making Sinister Six, so.
Ashley, what kind of Flash movie would you like to see? If you compared it to another movie you've seen, or a director, or even the TV show, what kind of Flash would you want? Being a female artist, a female writer, what kind of Flash, from your point of view, would you like?
That's a very hard question for me to answer. I'm going to have to pass on it because it's going to take too long. All I know is that I've seen Flash the first season on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I like, oh my gosh, what's his name? Grant Gustin.
Mm-hmm.
I like Daniel Panabaker, you know, and I like the guy that plays. I'm blanking on names.
You can say
right
the characters.
Now.
You can
just say the characters.
I know, but I don't even know his name. Like the guy, the quippy dude that always talks about
Cisco.
Cisco, thank you. Those three work really well together. And you know, I like Iris and is it John? No,
Yeah,
who's
the dad. Yeah, his dad.
John West.
Joe.
Yeah, so I like them. I like all the characters. Although I'll have to say, since it is TV, sometimes I do feel like things get a little bit cheesy. But that's just me personally. It's still a good show, and it kept me. Even though the show had already been spoiled for me, I still found it very interesting.
Spoilers: he runs really fast. Like, I just
yeah,
he
know, does. Every
going into it
really fast, and every episode he has to get faster somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, I mean, if they can just find a way to get all the characters to kind of, you know, just mesh well together and have good chemistry, I feel like it'll be pretty good. And then, of course, you got the whole, you know, plot and the bad guys and the special effects, you know.
Personally, I think they should just shelve the Flash until they get a strong director and bump up the Batman, because I could
I
fucking
mean,
care
I think
less.
they should
Like,
do that too.
I just, you know, the Flash could just be in the Justice League movies for now, for all I care. Speaking of Batman, I want to wrap this up real quick. So Jeffrey D. Morgan, do you know who he is, Ashley?
No.
He played the comedian in The Watchmen. Remember that movie?
Oh yeah, okay.
And
I was gonna say I probably do.
And he played Bruce Wayne's father in the flashback in Batman v Superman. So if you've seen the beginning of the film, that's Jeffrey D. Morgan. He's got the big mustache.
And he's good. I like that guy.
Yeah, he's really good. And he's in The Walking Dead right now. So if you watch that show. Anyway, he's been saying for a while he'd love to play Flashpoint Batman. Which, Brandon, explain who Flashpoint Batman is.
Flashpoint Batman is basically in the dark alley. Instead of Batman's parents being killed, Bruce Wayne, couldn't think of there for a second because I was trying to flip it. Bruce Wayne gets shot and killed. The mom, Martha, goes insane. She becomes the Joker. And Thomas Wayne, the father, becomes the Batman, who uses guns, runs a casino. He's just a badass. He doesn't care. He kills people. He wants to get rid of the scum of Gotham. So,
right, and so he's been saying that he would love to play that character in a movie. And I have some opinions about that. And this kind of goes into Justice League. So let me just set this up. I hope and pray that this never happens. I don't want to see Batman fighting aliens. Now, I get he's going to be fighting aliens in Justice League. So if you're going to do something like Flashpoint, which is a weird alternate universe thing where up is down and down is up, and you got Jeffrey D. Morgan as Thomas Wayne Batman with a weird costume, then either it has to be in one of two things. Either A, in a Justice League movie, or say one of three things. One, a Justice League movie. Two, a Flash movie. That might be interesting. Or three, the Lego Batman film. I don't ever want to see this I want the fucking Batman movies, Brandon, to be small. You know, I want the Batman movies to be no bigger than John Wick. You know,
I want it to be contained.
Or the Raid. I want it to be about Batman. Like, you know how Daredevil fights street level crime in the series?
Right.
That's
Kind of
what
like how
I.
they said Batman was going to be in Arkham Asylum. I like that idea. It's small, it's closed in, you know the area. It's a Batman
I
movie.
don't want the Batman movies dealing with multiple timelines and dimensions and shit. You know, like I in a Justice League film where he's surrounded by alien dudes and the Flash who can go through multiple. Okay, that's an interesting. Maybe they do like an Injustice storyline where they don't have to dwell on it. But for me, like I'm like, I pray to God Zack Snyder is not reading the internet right now and goes, "Oh my God," like,
Right.
because that dude, just like when he's like Batman should fight Superman and you will make them fight, like let them fight, and then you watch the movie, you're like there's no reason for them to fight. Do you know this would just be some weird shit that wouldn't make any fucking sense in the movie? So, but a Lego Batman would make a lot of sense, like Jeffrey D. Morgan as Flashpoint Lego Batman. I could watch that, like Batman having to deal with the Joker mom and shit. I'd like to see that. So something like a Lego movie would make more sense. Any thoughts, Brandon? You even care about
Yeah, I don't.
hypotheticals?
No, I don't. Here's the thing. It's it looks cool in comics. It looks cool in the animated thing. It'd be stupid as shit in the movies. Not everything that looks cool in a comic book translates to movies. I mean, and vice versa. It just sometimes things don't translate through other medias.
Or live action in general. Case in point, if you guys have been watching the newest season of Arrow, if you've seen the wonderful Ragman going on, you could just see how like some things should never be put to film, like Ragman. Oh my God! So. Oh, Ashley, there was a point in comics.
I haven't seen Ragman. Yeah, I haven't seen the last.
People now go, "Why would you have ever read an Image comic, Rob?" I'm like, you don't fucking know what these things were like in the '90s, man. Like, X-Men looked cool when Jim Lee showed up, and then when he left, you're like, it's over, man. Like, like it's gonna go back to being fuck all. I don't know what. Chris Claremont wasn't writing it, but at least that was still something. But the DZ comics were really fucking bad. Like, Ragman was Anarchy with a big A with the yellow paint, and they put Anarchy in Arrow. It's horrible. Like they weren't very good.
No.
That animated cartoon changed everything for Batman, as far as I'm concerned, more than the Burton movies, for the better. So the animated series in 1992 gave Batman like a universe you could start to go, well, of course there's a Harley Quinn, Rob. There was no Harley Quinn. When Ragman was running around, that didn't exist. Nightwing had a giant collar hung out to here, guys. It was a giant disco collar. Like
his outfit was bedazzled.
Yeah, he actually looked like Dazzler. Like he had a giant. His chest was a V chest cut in the outfit, so you could see.
People like the people like the actor. They like him because he's been in a bunch of comic book shit. Would he make a cool Batman? Maybe like in a dream sequence, like you're saying.
No more dream sequences by Zack Snyder.
Oh, there's gonna be at least one.
No more Zack Snyder dream sequences.
I say one in Justice League.
No
I say
more.
at least one.
No,
there's gonna be one.
No more.
There's no way he's not gonna stop.
Mm-mm.
There's a dream sequence in every one of his movies.
I gotta pull the. He loses that card. If I was Jeff Johns, I'm taking that one out the pile. You don't get that one. You gotta earn this one back. Him in dream fucking sequences. All right, so we've talked about a lot. What are you up to this week, Brandon?
Dying. I've been dying.
No.
I was doing my annual.
Moving forward, I'm trying to wrap this up. I'm not asking you how you're doing right now. Like,
I sorting out all my sketch covers, so hopefully people hit me up so I can do some more sketch covers. Gonna redo the War Machine lines on the 11x14 a little bit crisper, and hopefully have some commissions before I have to do flats for the rest of my life.
Ashley, what are you up to this week?
Well, I've been working on hack/commission for some Kickstarter backer, and I got the pencils done on that. And so it's like Cassie and Vlad. So
fun fact, that was going to be my last cover for Game Fan.
Was it really?
Yeah, really, it was going to be Hackslash before it was a thing. Dave was way on it, but I decided not to do it because I wasn't going to get paid, so I moved out.
Yeah. And then I'm just working on kind of doing some line arts for some new promo art for Velthanius, which is my brainchild story that I'm coming up with, basically. And so I'm just kind of working out interior. Like, I'm basically practicing, styles of interior art I want to do. Like, if I want to do more of like comic book style, or do I want to do cell shade? I'm kind of leaning towards cell shade, kind of really bright. And
For interiors, I would just
yeah,
keep it simple. That's my advice.
Yeah, it is. It is. I was coloring. Well, I was coloring freaking a Toe Jam and Earl piece, and I was getting really freaking. My mind was starting to bend. Going nutso on it, and I was like, "This is too much."
If you ever want to bounce off,
if
you ever get into that situation, you feel free to hit me up if you want to bounce off ideas. Because when you're dealing with multiple characters, it can. That's when we were going over the Bucky piece with Domation.
Right.
I was like, it's a lot to work out lighting and all these characters if you haven't done it before. It takes more than you'd think.
Yeah.
So.
So just coming up with like an easy way that's not going to drive me insane, but still going to look awesome. And just because you just can't go out on it all every piece. You got, and like you said before, mentioned that you can. There is a point where you can overpaint a character, and they start to look extremely different from the way that their line arts look, because of all the lighting and the shading. And so it's just really to keep them flat but to have them pop out and, have still keep the mood and whatnot. So
Plus, when you're doing all the work yourself, there has to be some concession.
yeah, there is. And I like, and something that I'm happy with and, gets me jazzed. So I'm good,
Excellent. And for myself this week, we got One Punch Man coming up, probably tonight. We got Final Fantasy VII, which is going to start tomorrow. What else we got coming up? I got to do another Gambit recolor. The Batman piece I'm going to be starting very soon. Very, very, very soon. Then we got the 2 sketch covers to get done. So we're going to get all the commissions wrapped up this month and shipped out the door. I got to rebuild my print station this week. That sucks, but that's why I haven't shipped anything yet, because that print station is part of my shipping station. So I got to reset all that up, do the networking, get all that working, and build the room. And I got to get my Idaho driver's license. Fucking sucks. So I got to go take the written test and study and do all that stuff. Whew, tons to do this week. We will be back Friday night for gaming podcasts, all throughout the week for drawing, and then we'll be back, of course, next week to talk about more SketchCraft. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the 50th podcast.
50th
Make sure you like
podcast.
it, share it, tweet it.
Shut up,
other
Brandon.
things that I can't think of. Woo!
All right, we're out of here. Motherfucking Walmart. I might be Walmart, but Brandon looks like he eats there. I'm out.